Usually we have a Maxwell podcast hosted by me for every Diablo season. And this time we're going to do it here on X Spaces with a special guest, Elon Musk, who is hopefully joining any second. And we also have Rob and Rhykker here, two content creators in the Diablo sphere who are some of the biggest names, I guess. I mean, I guess everyone who is like around in Diablo 4 knows them. Ah, there he is. Hello, Elon.
Hey, you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Nice to have you here. I was
welcome.
just going to give a little introduction about what we're doing here. So for everyone who is listening in, we want to talk about the past season 2, and then we're gonna go deeper into the Diablo 4 season 3 patch notes and our plans for the season. So especially Elon, he has been showing off what he can achieve with his druid. That was really cool to see. Rob has been blasting really hard. And we also have Rhykker here.
Not bad for an old guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we can keep this pretty casual discussion, basically. I just have a bit of a topic list like that. We're gonna go through season 2, then the patch notes, and then the plans for the future and our hopes for the future for the game. So this is what we're gonna talk about. It's gonna last roughly 30 minutes. Now, as a short intro, maybe everyone wants to introduce themselves real quick in like less than 30 seconds, who you are, what are you doing?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for inviting us. Hey everybody, I'm Rob. I've been playing Diablo, the entire franchise, since a decade. Been playing Diablo 4 since launch. I like to play Barbarian as my favorite class, and man, we have a lot of exciting changes coming up here for season 3 for the Barb.
Okay, Rhykker? Rhykker, can you speak? Is it not working? Okay, maybe continue.
Tap the mic on, mic off button.
Okay. Yeah, Elon, you want to talk about what you did in season 2?
Sure. By the way, I got my kid in the background here. Relax, so you hear like little kid exclamations. Yeah. So, like yourself, like I think many on the call, I've actually played Diablo since the original Diablo, just Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and then Diablo 2 was obviously a Hall of Famer. That was epic. I didn't get that into Diablo 3, but then I picked up Diablo 4, and I wasn't that blown away at the beginning, because the game obviously has a lot of revealed complexity. So, which I think is actually a good idea. You don't want to hit people with a massive amount of complexity immediately, because that's too much to digest. But the game really gets interesting around level 50, where the Paragon boards activate. And so I thought, I just found the game got better the more you played it. And the complexity of the Paragon boards was added a big dimension to the game. It's sort of like a mixture of, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's like a mixture of Dungeons and Dragons and the game Go, sort of. You have to plot a path of skills and glyphs, and try to figure out what the best path is for a particular mission or dungeon or whatever. So yeah, I found it quite engaging. I put a lot of time into it. Basically, spent most of the Christmas break playing Diablo, and it was. I must say that the Avatar of Zir grind that's the most insane grind that I've ever seen of any video game. And the Avatar of Zir, or AOZ, is like the hardest video game that I've ever played.
It was definitely quite a challenge, that's for sure. And we're gonna dive into Avatar here in a second. So I just want to finish the intro here, if you don't mind. So Rhykker, can you speak now?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. I'm a boomer here with tech, but yeah. So thanks for having me. I'm a full-time content creator on YouTube and Twitch for about 8 years now. I focus on Diablo and general gaming news coverage. And I think in this group, I'll be the casual player representative. I'm not a big blaster like you guys, but I do love the game. I've been a lifelong Diablo fan.
Yeah, thank you. And myself, you might know me. I'm also a full-time content creator for some years now in Diablo 3, Diablo 4. I've been blasting since the start. I've been racing for World First to level 100, making mini guides on YouTube, on Maxroll, and yeah, just streaming on Twitch and now also on X. And well, I like to have these podcasts, so that's what we're doing here today. All right. Yeah, thank you for the intro. So we already had like a little like piece of the discussion about our 12 year in season 2 from Elon, which has definitely shown some very interesting results with the class balance and, you know, like the game's mechanics and snapshotting and all kinds of stuff that we've discovered lately. So what was everyone's experience?
Yes, actually, I really want snapshotting. Can they fix that bug, please? The snapshotting is unfortunately it adds a chore element to the game that needs to be addressed. And it's just while you can get better capabilities, it's just a chore to start every dungeon with switching out 5 things. So I mean, my guess that the source of the problem is. This is the core code, I believe, is C++. This sounds like a C++ class variable initialization bug, and they just need to go back and refresh the variable. It should be a simple change to the code.
Yeah, it seems like they have this in mind, but I think I'm not sure if you watched the campfire chat the other day where they previewed the season 3 and the patch notes or like whatever's coming. But yeah, it seems like it's not coming for the launch of the season, but later. So I hope that the mid-season patch might bring fixes to the snapshotting. It must maybe be a bit like too late for them to react to it. But I totally agree. It's really annoying, like the way this works. So for the listeners that are not aware, basically you were able to benefit from certain effects in the game. That you had at the start of a run, and then you undercooked items, and you had a snapshot bonus that stayed with you for the rest of the run. So you went in and swapped several different items, for example, and were just stronger than intended, which led to some pretty interesting results.
Yeah.
But I think universally,
it's just initializing.
Yeah.
It's initializing the aspect value and then not looking back at the initialization. So.
Yeah.
Hence, you get two-handed effects on one-handed weapons.
Yeah, for example, but there's many of those cases, and then obviously that also skewed with the class balance, with like Barbs benefiting a lot from this, but them just being also very powerful in general, and other classes as well, right? And the sorcerers, for example, they were snapshotting like 7 different things as well.
Yeah.
How was your experience as a druid, though, Elon?
No, I mean, I had a good time. I put a lot of hours into it, and I guess people can critique games or like they can say good or bad things about games, but the real acid test is where do people spend time. If they spend time in a game, they obviously can't hate it that much. So I think Diablo 4 was really quite excellent, and it gets better the longer you play it. AOZ is for gamers that are like certainly professional, but I think even just sort of I'd say like I'm a hardcore casual gamer, whatever that means. So it's unusual to see something that is rewarding for hardcore casual, and so well, as John Carmack, a friend of mine, mentioned, if finally clearing T25 in Avatar 0 is like, okay, now he's less concerned about humanity getting to Mars because I was spending too much time on Diablo.
I hope he doesn't distract it too much from that goal.
Yeah, that's. I think he posted that on the X platform. He says like, "Oh great, now finally we can keep going towards Mars." So
I wonder how we're gonna call the world first race on Mars, though. Is it gonna be like Mars first race to 100 then, or yeah?
Well, Mars is pretty far away, so
yeah.
turn-based games with someone on Mars would work, but real time will definitely not work. The closest that Mars gets is just under 4 light minutes away.
Yeah.
So it'll be fine for texting or turn-based games, but not anything real time is simply not possible unless someone and figure out how to go faster than the speed of light.
I'd be interested to hear Rhyker's opinion about the Arbor 12 Zir and the snapshotting and what we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it actually highlights a really significant discussion about what people find fun. Because as you guys pointed out, right, with snapshotting, this is something that it increases your power tremendously. And for a lot of players, a lot of people just like that raw feeling of, ooh, I found this way to become much more powerful. And so when devs come in and they'll nerf like broken things, be it a mechanic, be it a build, like Hoda Barb and Ball Lightning Sorcerer, right? Those are obviously being brought down due to some broken interactions. It's this constant fight between players and like blasters and mechanics masters are finding these things, and there's that fun of discovery and like, oh, I'm breaking the game, but sometimes the breaking the game happens in a way that's decidedly not fun. Like snapshotting, it's miserable to have to do all those swaps at the start of every run, like Elon was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets ridiculous. You're not doing 5 snapshots every run.
Yeah, so it's an instance where like, well, we're willing to be less powerful in order to fix this unfun thing that's happening. But sometimes some of the community is like, well, no, like I don't like being less powerful, but sometimes it's for the health of the game, right?
Yeah, well, just buff the normal powers and then get rid of the chores. It seems like the logical move.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, it does seem like Bob is once again going to be the most powerful thing in the game, for the season 3. Because I mean, they totally nerfed Lord Beast, which is the heavy damage druid attack, but they slightly nerfed Bob, but looks like Bob is going to be king again.
Yeah, we can talk about season 3. Barb looks very good. Yeah, we can dive into a topic in a second. I just want to ask you a quick, Rob, can you speak now? Is it working? We had some technical issues here.
Hey guys, yeah, I think I turned on the phone now.
Okay, yeah, hello.
Hey, okay, now it works. Yeah, I think Barb is looking amazing this patch, and I totally agree on the snapshotting. It's more of a chore to the player to do this every time, and it looks like it takes a bit more time before they can manage to fix this problem. But I'm looking forward to when that's changed for sure.
Yeah, I guess realistically, they really have to fix it before the gauntlet comes out, because if that's still part of the gauntlet, then it's going to be, really bad, I think.
It's going to be snapshot hell.
Yeah,
yeah,
especially when there's actual leaderboards, people are going to try everything,
Yeah,
for sure.
Maybe even now with the pets, we might see the comeback of some of those snapshots mechanics with these like different stones and stuff and some of their abilities. Well, we'll see.
Snapshot the seneschal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's very likely to happen, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man! Suddenly these 12 snapshots, then you can do this and start.
Yeah, and then your pet is gonna go berserk and just one-shot Lilith. Watch out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into the season 3 patch notes. What is like everyone's like highlight from the patch notes? I guess everyone has read them. What are you most excited for? Maybe starting with Elon. Have you seen them?
The class balance between seasons, obviously, because otherwise, it gets boring having the same optimization. It looks like the season 3 is favoring lightning quite strongly. That's initial impression. They obviously, as I mentioned, nerfed Blood Beast, which was ridiculously powerful at high tiers of blood level, admittedly. But so probably leaning towards lightning. I'm kind of curious as to whether the Seneschal is considered a companion. If it is, then a pets build could be quite powerful if you can get effectively 10 pets. Then you can get, pets build, you get 150% damage increase.
Okay, we're talking about
So
the Stampede and
that could be interesting.
the Shepherd aspect.
Yeah, exactly. If you get Shepherd and if you basically just have your menagerie, and if Seneschal is because it is a companion of some kind, so that might make it a 10 companion build with lightning.
So it sounds like you're definitely
fun,
going Druid again, right? And you want to try to optimize it with Lightning Storm.
Druid's just the one I know. So I'm sort of like, if I get to the point where, okay, I've done everything I can with a Druid, then I'll try another character. But it would also be helpful, I think, to just have different aesthetics per character. So, you know,
I remember that discussion.
yeah, it's like, yeah, like there seems to be maybe some more modification of like, what do you look like if you're a different class, you know? I mean, too much of the druid, you look like basically a shaman who makes his own clothes in the forest. So, I feel like I've seen this guy at Burning Man or something, you know. That's my impression of the shaman. So yeah, some more, you know, variation in aesthetics and body type, and would be nice to see. I think using something like Midjourney and AI for you know, more for easy image creation, that's more unique, so characters can be more unique, would be cool. Yeah, my rough plan is, you know, I think since they nerfed Blood Beast, I guess it's going to be lightning, and maybe lightning pets build or something like that.
Okay, sounds good. How about Rob?
Yeah, I also agree. Lightning is looking very insane, but I would love to see some buffs to like pets builds in general, especially like on the necromancer and then on the druid. And
Yeah.
this would have been the season to do it, right? Because I feel like this is the season of the companions.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically pet builds have been like underwhelming for like a long time now, and I really hope to see some juice up in the future on those.
Yeah, like just
totally.
to jump in here real quick, we actually discussed this as well. Like we had the tier list meeting with the Maxwell guys and stuff, and like all the pet builds, man, they're like really in the gutter. Like even with the small buffs they're trying to put there, like there was like a companion glyph buff, right? And there was like some other stuff for necros.
Yeah,
it's like all like solid, like D maximum tier. Like
I mean, they like buffed the golem or something, but then they nerfed like the best necro builds. Meanwhile, every other class cleared like Amazon Z at 25, and necro is still crying in the corner, clearing at 20.
Yeah, it really sounds like they don't like minions.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like the wolves for druid, they might as well be hamsters. I mean, I think it would be funny if they made the size of the companions proportionate to the damage, and then you'd have these tiny little teacup wolves, because that's like they'd be like a teacup Yorkshire Terrier or something like that. Because like I've seen Yorkies that do more damage than the wolves.
Question for you guys about the pet builds. Like, do you think that it's just a matter of tuning up the numbers, or do you think as long as like the AI isn't fixed to be like either like smarter pets or ability for us to direct and control our pets, that we're never going to see like S tier pet builds?
I think AI changes, like making them smarter, is always a good move. But for now, an easy fix would just be to massively beef up the numbers of those pets, and give the player like some additional way, maybe to control it. I always compare it with Diablo 3. We had the skeleton mages. You could really like tell, okay, attack this target, attack that target. I'm really missing that more in Diablo 4.
Yeah, I don't think it's really that much to do with the AI itself. I mean, it would be cool if, like, you know, Grok can control each of our skeletons. But realistically, I think it's mostly a numbers problem. And okay, if they add, like, you know, some mild, like, you know, control, they're already doing that a bit, right? There's like this golem thing they added where it now does something a bit more, you know, smarter or something. And you can also, I think you can slightly control your skeletons with your curses now. So that is a thing, apparently. And if they maybe add some more little things, like, you know, your skellies attack the target that you attack, and you have like some active ability, I think that's okay enough. Maybe you can make them smarter overall. It's mostly a numbers problem.
Yeah, maybe you could have like an option of like, exactly, default would be attack the same thing I'm attacking, and then or you have an option, well, no, attack the thing I'm not attacking, or something like that. And but at the, yeah, exactly, as you're saying, at the end of the day, if
Oh, did it cut out here?
Sorry, shoot, I just realized I turned the mic off. Yeah, I was saying, just, yeah, it would be cool to have some. The logical thing would be your pets attack the thing that you're attacking, or you could maybe have a setting that says attack the thing I'm not attacking to distract the others, or something like that. Having some control over the companions would be good. And then, but at the end of the day, if the damage is so tiny that they're little ankle biters, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, do you enjoy playing with the druid companions, for example? Like the actual,
the druid companions, apart from Poison Creeper, don't do anything. It's like,
yeah, but I mean, imagine they were good. You know, would you actually like that?
Yeah, exactly, sure. Yeah, no, I think it seems silly to have these 3 scary looking wolves that have the damage of a hamster. Like, that's why I say you might as well just run around. It'd be at least funny to have 3 little hamsters follow you around or something.
Maybe eventually Blizzard is gonna sell us like skill specific MTX, like in other games, for example, where you can change the effects of your skills, right? And you can actually make your hamsters. Who knows?
I'm sure a lot of people
that'd
would appreciate
exactly.
Skins for like the werewolf and werebear forms. Yeah.
Yeah, even that,
Yeah.
exactly. It's kind of weird that they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I guess exactly. Werewolf with armor.
Taking notes now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely coming at some point, but it's just been like very, very conservative, I guess, on the transmogs. Yeah, Rhykker.
Yeah.
By the way, what are you most excited for in the patch?
A couple of things. So I guess first off, seeing that charge is doing like 10 times the damage. I don't know where it's in line, but I guess I have the guy here to ask. But like, I love charge barb in Diablo 3. Rob, can I redo the playstyle of the D3 charge barb? Is it looking like it's going to be an S tier build? Like, what are you thinking?
So first of all, the changes to charge barb are awesome. Like, we are getting a lot of damage, and we're getting the most important thing, and what most people complained about was the clunkiness of the skill. So you can finally reset your cooldown just like you used to from Diablo 3. But yeah, people are very focused on charge is getting 10x damage on the base, yes, but they also changed some of the multipliers on the side as well. So in the end, we're probably getting like 5 times the damage. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very strong leveling build, first of all, because you just unlock this like massive damage instantly without having any aspects. So we're going to be flying on the leveling part. And yeah, I also think in endgame it's one of the strongest builds, certainly on Barb. But we're still pretty strong on the Hoda Barb looking as well. Like, we were joking about playing Hotablo, and it's nerfed a bit, but it's still looking very promising and one of the strongest builds in the game, I think.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm very surprised about they're very mild with the nerfs, honestly.
They were pretty mild for sure. I mean, we don't know exactly where ball lighting is going to land now because there's been pretty vague. But yeah, Hoda is still rocking pretty solid.
Yeah.
Is it going to come down
I wonder
to
when
like
we're
how
gonna
severe
see Druid one-shotting world bosses. Sorry?
Is it going to come down to like how severe the overpower nerf is?
It doesn't seem that severe because it seems like we're getting a life buff as well, and that might be quite significant. There's like a little note somewhere that makes it sound that we could potentially have a lot more maximum life in next patch, making the overpower basically similar to before, almost.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little question mark there, but like the overpower nerf in general is only to some portion of the additive damage bucket for this skill, so it's gonna be like maybe 10% less powerful overall, and that's still very strong.
Oh wow. Okay. Ranged rogue. So I've always loved rogue. I love like the highly mobile playstyle. I've never actually ran a ranged rogue, but I was thinking this is the season to do it. And again, we have the guy here to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. So and I've been already field crafting and making all the builds for rogue for next season. I updated my guides. And yeah, I mean, rogue overall, it's not gonna be like as powerful as like barb, like one-shotting bosses in highest tiers or something. But it's gonna be like overall a really cool, fun, and balanced class. So this is what I'm looking forward to there. Like the range rogue definitely has caught up now with the melee play styles, and rogue, like basically every build will be at least decent. Some of them a bit faster, a bit better than others, but I'm really looking forward to trying out a lot of things there.
I've been hearing some rumors, Woody, on my chat. So is it like, are you actually considering starting Barb, or is it going to be the rogue for you this season?
Yeah, I mean, I used to race to 100 with rogue for the first like 3 iterations now, but I'll do it on Barb this time. I'm excited to start another class.
Let's go! Nice, nice, great class, good choice.
Yeah. Okay, I have one other topic here right now, which is what are your hopes for the future of the game and for like what Blizzard can do? What do you think could be nice to implement into the game as features, or new builds or whatever you can think of? Maybe starting with Elon.
Well, I'd recommend use of AI, especially image generation. Look at say like how you can create an incredible image very quickly and easily with Midjourney. It seems like you should be able to apply some sort of Midjourney art to any given character, so you could have a customized look. I think that would be very cool. And then of course, having with AI NPC dialogue, you can have a very sophisticated AI dialogue tree. It doesn't have to be the same, 5 sentences over and over again. So you could actually have quite complex conversations with NPCs that stay in character using an AI large language model. Those seem like obvious moves that would be quite profound for the game. I think adding in more complexity is probably good as well, meaning like revealed complexity. So it's still accessible to general players, but if somebody really wants to go crazy with the complexity, trying to find interesting new metas, then you need more degrees of freedom in order to have new metas or interesting new angles.
Do you have like a concrete example for this?
Well, this does seem to be the direction that the Diablo team is going, and they keep adding new aspects, new glyphs. I think probably some tweaks to the basic skill tree would also make sense. Adding a few more options to the skill tree. Yeah, more glyphs, more Paragon boards. Yeah, these degrees of freedom, so that people don't end up kind of flatlining optimization too quickly. So yeah, and then I guess I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but it would help. I think it would be helpful to have more clarity about the combat mechanics, like how's the damage actually calculated, and how's the sometimes you add these things up and it's like, wait, this doesn't add up.
No one really knows.
Yeah, and often the tooltips are even misleading that we have in the character sheet and something like that.
Yeah, the tooltip is literally wrong in some cases, which should be, I assume, a pretty quick fix. But is it like additive or multiplicative is pretty fundamental. So, like, I think on the druid, it's poison, critical damage is, I think, yeah.
I think they're getting there though. Like they're slowly improving the tooltips, and they have been fixing a few things lately. So give it a few more seasons, I guess, and maybe we're gonna have somewhat accurate tooltips, hopefully. But I find this topic really interesting with the AI NPCs. I actually heard about this in some other games, and I think that's actually like a really interesting way forward for like video games in general. But I wonder what the others think, Rob and Rhykker.
I am so super excited for AI and its application in the video game industry. I don't think we're going to see it in D4, but like we effectively have the potential for infinite content in a game being able to be generated on the spot. I think there will always be a place for bespoke content crafted by developers, right? You have your important tentpole content made by human beings, but then all the filler content just infinitely generated, especially in a genre like the ARPG, which is all about procedural generation and randomized stuff. It's a perfect fit for AI to come in and build that instead of seeing like the repetitious stuff that we tend to see. Once you play the game for 1,000 hours, every single possible random thing that can happen. But now you're going to be able to be surprised by AI. Super excited for that stuff.
Yeah, I think players would be able to get like the full immersion and even like start some sort of like even relationship or something with some of the NPCs and stuff. Like things are going wild out there, I think, and it would be some amazing things to come.
Yeah, I think especially for storytelling purposes or like the immersion and even side quests or something, you could even like tailor like individual quests to people or something like that, right? It could be pretty wild actually, the possibilities, if you actually have that technology and like implement it in the game like an RPG. Like you can have a quest lines, specifically designed for your character based on the build you're playing or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, you basically have an AI dungeon master. That would be pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I like the word you used there, Rhykker. Infinite content possibilities, basically. I mean, that's music in gamers' ears, for sure.
And content creation
as well.
Yeah. Okay. What other hopes do you have, and you know, what do you hope like Blizzard will do, or you know, any expectations? Maybe Rob and Rhykker.
Yeah. So from my perspective, and I also say that looking forward to the leaderboard and the gauntlet that are coming. So in the preview that they showed, it is still looking to be rather easy, fast-paced, speed-focused content. And I know Aperture of Zero was discussed like pretty controversially in the community, but I think if they give it quite some tweaks and some reworks and some limitations to the TOB glyph grinding and things like that, I don't think many people like this infinite progression system. But it would be very cool, I think, for many to have like a real challenge, like somewhere in the end game at least. It does not have to be mandatory. It does not have to necessarily give you the best rewards, because I know nowadays gamers like want to have it easy, or a lot of them at least. But I think it's important for the game to have like some real end game challenge that you can overcome. I think a very good example of this is how Lilith, Uber Lilith used to be. Used to be this like crazy hard to kill boss, but now with more and more power creep coming into the game, obviously it's becoming more or less of a joke to kill her nowadays with the meta, with the strongest builds and all the buffs that we get from the seasonal powers that we have. So I'm really missing, you know, some real hard challenge in the game, and I think it would be very good for the long-term health of the game to have something like that.
Rhykker?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Loot 2.0 itemization rework. I think that's critical to moving the game into a good state. You know, once that's implemented properly, like assuming, you know, that it goes over well, I think we're going to be in a much more solid position to keep rolling forward with the seasons. I think season 3 has been looking really, really solid mechanically. And I think once we get into the cadence of maybe adding in past seasons reworked as permanent game mechanics, because I see a lot of complaints of like, oh, another like just temporary thing added to the game, like we need more permanent things. And it's like, well, give them time, right? They're beta testing these things effectively. I think once we start rolling into that cadence where we're going to see these past seasons return and the game's going to get wider, bigger, deeper with these multiple mechanics stacked on top of each other, I think we're going to be in a very good position to be rolling forward.
Yeah, I think I'm also like, I'm very excited for the itemization myself. I've actually seen a preview of it. So for the listeners that don't know what you're talking about, probably in season 4, we're gonna have like a major rework on basically how items work. There's gonna be more relevant stats on items, a lot of like the bloat we removed, and a lot more like crafting and like itemization and customization is like coming to the game very soon. That makes people excited. So let's hope they're gonna hit the mark there, and I think it's gonna be pretty cool from at least what I've seen. Unfortunately, I cannot share the details. Okay, I just want to ask real quick, Elon, since you are kind of short on time, like how much longer do you have?
Actually, I've got a bit more time. I'm just in the car on the way to the airport, so it turns out I've got a bit more time.
Okay, then I mean, I kind of try to keep the main topic list short, but we could just have an open-ended discussion now. You know, talking more about the season 3, if you want.
Sure.
All right. Well, for me, like one of the interesting things about new seasons is always also like the start of the season. You know, when everything is fresh and you're gonna discover new things, and you know, like not everything is really shown exactly in the patch notes. Like for example, how the initial constructs work. You know, there's always undocumented changes that surprise us. It happened like every single season so far, and it will continue to happen, I think. So anyone has any guesses for, you know, what will be the biggest surprise, or what could be like, you know, something that is unforeseen?
So funny thing, I have my money, and I made a YouTube video about it. I'm betting like some of these pet mechanics might be way more powerful than we think, because it's basically confirmed. I think also here on X, developer of Diablo 4 tweeted that the pet is going to scale with like your character stats. And I think, like just from a barbarian perspective, but I also could see it on other characters, there is a lot of like generic multipliers that you can stack. And there is like one stone power in particular called the Tempest, I think, that creates like a big pulsating ball of like lightning around the enemy. We have to see how exactly it will work. But I'm having hopes that this is actually enough to just like clear the entire game if we stack it with generic multipliers from Wrath of the Berserk or from like different Paragon nodes. So really excited to see how strong I can beef up this construct, this pet, and maybe it can just like destroy the entire game for me.
Yeah, it will definitely be funny to see. I think Barbs have the most potential there as well because of all the generic damage increases they have. If it only scales with your actual attack power on the character, you can reach like a few 100,000 or something attack power, and then this thing is gonna go wild probably.
Yeah, and as we talked about snapshots earlier, I mean, we can still snapshot our like generic multiplier, like it's Blood Rage. It's called Blood Rage. So yeah, we've been hitting like a couple million sheet damage with the TOB glyph. Obviously that's gone, but yeah, I think we're gonna still be pretty powerful on those multipliers at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other guesses here from Elon or Rhykker? Or like any other, like, I don't know, what do you want to try? Maybe that is like a bit vague right now, or, you know, not exactly explained.
Well, I don't really have much insight into season 3. I've only seen what people have posted on the X platform and, you know, read the patch notes and whatnot. So it sounds cool. You know, hopefully, since I'll be playing Druid again, hopefully Druid has not been nerfed too badly.
It's looking pretty good for Druid, at least based on what the other guys were saying here in our meeting last time. So
yeah,
I think
Lightning Storm looks amazing, man.
Yeah, Lightning Storm in particular. Yeah, Pulverize is going to be good as well if you want to play that, and Tornado is still there always. So there's some options.
My Lightning is going to hit the entire screen twice.
Okay. Well, it's definitely going to be a good area of effect. So yeah, I think Druid will certainly be, no matter what, a good in a multiplayer game. Like if there's two to four players, Druid actually pairs well with Barbarian, as you know, in the AOZ stuff.
Hell
Yeah. So Druid is great for taking out the mobs, and then tends to have trouble, especially if there's only one secret at the end. But Barbarian does great.
Hoda can help out for sure. He's great.
Yeah, exactly. Teamwork.
Yep.
What about Rhykker? Do you have anything?
So I guess something that I would like to see that I'm hoping for, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like the Necro Bone Spirit build, I would love to see that rise to S tier, mostly because the Shattered Spirit aspect. It sounds like basically, so you know, like in D2 we had the Frozen Orb Sorceress. You shoot the Frozen Orb, it travels kind of slow, and those like frozen splinters come off of it. It sounds like Shattered Spirit is doing that, but with Bone Spirit, right? You have the 18 bone splinters shooting off in all directions from the Bone Spirit, so it's almost like recreating that play style, but instead of a frozen orb, it's like a ball orb. So it'd be really cool if that could be an S tier build.
Yeah, it definitely sounds extremely fun. I wonder how smooth it's gonna feel, but I think the clips that we're gonna see from that is gonna be amazing for sure.
There's another like hidden uber unique stone that we haven't seen. So they revealed the Shaco Harlequin's Crest Stone, 4 ranks to all skills. And then what are you guys' guesses on the Genesis Stone, man?
I think it's going to be something directly affecting the Seneschal and not your character instead. So
yeah,
it may make Genesis, you know, maybe it's gonna like spawn mini Seneschal copies of itself, and you know, they're gonna go crazy or something. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, on the Druid front, I think like the Boulder Hurricane looks awesome, but the damage ended up being pretty low. Like just buffing the Boulder Hurricane combo, to have it be more useful would be cool.
Yeah,
I think there was a slight change to the resources for the bowler, but that's not really going to fix the problem of the build. It just needs damage.
Yeah, it just doesn't have enough damage. Exactly. The Sorcerer Lightning Balls does epic damage, but the Druid is a pale comparison. So
I've seen some
it's like
Boulder Druids,
if you're being hit by boulders in a hurricane, it should hurt a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some Boulder Druids in season 2. Like it seemed okay, but yeah, nothing crazy. So maybe the buff will help a little bit, I guess. But yeah, maybe there's gonna like, you know, some more tweaks in the future with, you know, certain underperforming builds. I mean, the devs are always trying to like balance things out a little bit, and it looks like the balance is noticeably improving this patch, outside of like Barb being maybe still too strong overall. But we'll see.
Yeah, certainly. I think the season is season 2 was as well, but like season 3, I think is a big step in the right direction, like even more so for the game. And yeah, class balance, like Adam Jackson, like whenever I listen to his interviews and his streams, basically when he's doing a developer stream, it always feels like he is like really knowledgeable, and I think the class balance is in pretty good hands with him, and it's going to take some time, but going forward, I'm very optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that what Blizzard is doing with the communication around Diablo 4, like this campfire chat and the patch notes, and how the cadence of how they release things, do you think this is good, or could they improve something?
So what?
This been pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, what I like about these campfire chats that they do Q&As and answer like the chat questions and stuff. But one thing I wish they could improve a bit is like the kind of like mid-season, and I think they vowed for doing this a bit more, what Adam Jackson was saying in the stream. But in general, like when there is like some bugs or exploits or some questionable mechanics, like the snapshotting, for example, I think it takes them way too long to give like a response or like a stance or even a comment on it. Like my community, for example, has been like discussing this like left and right, like should you use this, should you not use this, is this cheating, is this not cheating, and it's just been really like in the gray zone.
Well, I have a great suggestion. They should just reply to questions on the X platform.
Exactly.
Yeah, just add Diablo and then ask them.
Yeah, maybe we'll try, guys. Like when the next bug or exploit is coming up here in a few days, just like tag them. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna take longer than 48 hours, and we're gonna find some really broken stuff.
Yep, exactly. And then we're gonna be waiting for like 2 weeks and have a question mark, like what's going on. So I think that they could be more responsive to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but like back from the D3 days, like
problem solved.
Let's go with Elon first, and then Rhykker.
Sorry, what was that?
I think Elon was speaking. No, I think we were speaking at the same time.
Oh yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think my connection is a little bit variable because I'm on the way to the airport.
Yeah.
No, I was just making the suggestion that the Diablo team should respond on the X platform to questions.
Yeah.
So people will ask, then we'll know. It's just that's how my companies do it. Like Starlink and Tesla, and we'll just answer people's questions, and then you can link that answer to anywhere else. So I think it's helpful to engage on the X platform. Obviously, I got to promote the X platform, but it works. So.
Okay. Yeah, Rhykker?
Yeah, so like comparing it to the D3 days, I mean, we're hearing from the devs more than ever, and I see them posting on X as well, like either from the official account or even individual devs like answering questions here and there where they can. It feels like they've been given the liberty to finally like talk and answer, whereas like Blizzard of the past, there was like this iron curtain that was just all information could not like be shared. It was all very, very like it had to be approved through 10 layers of whatever community management, but it's been great to see like more communication. Is there room for improvement? I mean, there's always room for improvement, but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that as well. I think they're definitely doing a much better job than in the past, at least, coming from the history of Diablo 3 in particular, where, we had like really cool patches lately and stuff, but I felt like there was never much like actual communication. It was just like, okay, every few months there was like a patch, a PDR, and then maybe a post, and that was it. And yeah, now, I mean, we actually see the devs, right? We actually see different faces behind the team. I think that's cool. I think one improvement I could make is in the campfires themselves, like actually, for example, like having someone who's like very knowledgeable and like, like a community figure, like actually like doing like a Q&A, for example, with like prepared questions, that is actually like pre-vetted, for example, right? Like there is like, let's say Rhykker, sits down at the end of a campfire chat with the devs for like 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and you're gonna ask a few questions that people will have that, they try to do it with the live Q&A in the campfires, but they just take like random Twitch chat questions, and it's not really like filtered or something. So
well, they could do it. They could always do an X Spaces. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, X Spaces or Blizzard devs would be pretty cool as well, for sure.
Yeah, and then it's like pretty easy. Like if somebody wants to speak, they can like basically raise their hand, and then if it's somebody who's not like doesn't seem to be a troll, then they can you could very easily enable them to speak. So it's good. Anyway, Xspaces looks great.
Hashtag ad, yeah. Okay.
We're on one, literally.
Okay. Yeah, but I actually like that feature. I gotta say, this is the first time I've been listening to some, but I've never used one. But it seems easy enough, and definitely a cool new way to interact with the community. And I think this could also become like a staple in the future of, like for example, for video games, right? Like for me, it's the first time I attend or like have any topic with video games on Xspaces, and it's also an interesting format for sure.
It's so much easier than like a stream.
It's super easy to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see myself doing this in the future again, just for like, maybe the next season or the next big patch or something, just have like another Xspaces. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
And it automatically saves, so even if somebody's not there at the time, they can always listen to it afterwards or read the transcription. So, but the nice thing is it's an easy sort of pick up, drop off, and being ad hoc. Like if somebody hops into the spaces that seems like it would be interesting to hear their opinion, then you can just enable them as a speaker. So it works. It's like quite a useful thing. I don't think there's anything else quite like it out there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Going back to the topic of Diablo, though. So we talked about X here. What do you think would be in the expansion, maybe, but looking a bit further ahead in the future? Like, what is like a major thing that it could be adding, for example, to the game that is not just like a seasonal update? So, do you have any predictions on that end? Maybe it's speculating a bit. I always like doing that.
Well, so first of all, I think most people really want this type of holy class. I mean, there's been some spoilers and some leaks about that stuff with the Spiritborn. We'll see. I think this is like the biggest discussion on people's minds, like what's the class going to be. So Spiritborn still sounds like a holy class paladin kind of warrior to me. So that would be very cool to see. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, but like some sort of like greater rift system, like how it worked in D3, like a real challenge, like what I was talking before, some endgame stuff, and obviously like a new area is going to be unveiled in the expansion. So I'm just pretty excited about all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Rhykker?
Yeah, definitely expecting the new class, more of the world unlocked. I think we're going to get some kind of new chunky mechanic, like maybe we'll get companions or something. I think we can even maybe get at least one new skill for every class, because back in April, when I asked them, like, could we see new skills added in seasons, they're like, that's more of an expansion thing. So potentially more skills for all classes. I think it's a great opportunity to add more Paragon boards as well. I think Elon was talking about adding Paragon boards as well earlier.
I think it's pretty funny that you mentioned the follower/mercenary, because a lot of people on the forums and on streams as well were thinking like this construct theme that we're getting right now is like a test for the different followers that we're gonna get. And yeah, I'd be pretty positive about that. There was also like in some of the leaks, they were also talking about some of these like followers, mercenaries coming, and it's been great in games like Diablo 2. So that'd be cool. Maybe some auras, some aura items, things like that.
I gotta say, personally, I'm not a fan of like the D2 and the D3 companions at all, and I really don't want to see them in D4. I feel like the whole like ambience and like the feeling, the immersion is kind of like broken when you have like another guy running next to you all the time. But who knows? Maybe they implement it in a cool way. Like, I don't mind this construct. It's like, okay, it's like not a permanent thing. It's like a very seasonal theme, specific thing, I guess. But yeah. We'll see. If it was optional, maybe there's like an option to run a companion or not and have some other perks perhaps. That would be cool.
Yeah, only have it with you maybe in like certain areas or certain instances, things like that.
Okay. Elon, do you have any long-term hopes or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really what I was saying earlier, which is that for a profound change in gaming, you want to integrate AI for both for images and for NPC dialogue. That would be a whole new level.
Do you think it's realistic for Diablo 4 though? I mean, Diablo 4 is like a game that has been developed for, I don't know, half a decade or longer, and it's kind of like, this is the game now, right? And I mean, I'm gonna do expansions, but you think it's even possible at this stage?
No, I think it's pretty easy actually. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty easy. You just do a call out to an LLM API for dialogue. It has to just have to containerize it, so it's not too. You can't break out of the NPC's mindset and start asking it questions about the rest of Earth. But I think that's quite a radical. I mean, it's a profound change in the sophistication of NPC dialogue, also NPC behavior and game mechanics, and then right now it takes a lot of time to generate art, new art, but if that's done manually with Photoshop, it's very slow, or with in any given sort of manual photo editing tool. But if you use the AI art generation, you can instantly have something great, and it can also be unique to each user. So you don't have to worry about showing up in the same set of armor as someone else. You can have each armor be unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like the idea of like AI enemies, to be fair. Like, you might have heard about this. I mean, this is like one of the first big breakthroughs in like AI, like in video games with Dota, I think, right? Where this AI team beat like the world's best players or something. And this is how they kind of got started, right? And imagine if like they actually implement like AI learning to like the NPCs like that you're fighting, and over time they just become better and better at outplaying the players. Like, I mean, it's only fair, right? Like, we as players, we learn more about the game, we get more experience, we're gonna get better, and at the same time, imagine if the enemies also did, and it would be like some kind of like arms race between the players and the enemies. That would be kind of hilarious. And that could be a pretty interesting, like, maybe not for across the entire game, but something like, the enemies become smarter the higher tier you go, kind of like, if that's ever going to be like an AOZ type system again, you go higher tiers, the enemies just become better. Like, how would that be?
Well, it's going to be humanity, gamers versus AI, hopefully only in-game.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be very interesting, if they actually like, they dodge your attacks and, they try to sneak up on you, or they wait for your weak moment and then they strike or something. Like, imagine that. It could be very
It would be super interesting to see also like for the meta developments in the game, for the strategies, like you adapting your strategy to what the enemies are doing and then they adapting like in real time to you. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
It would be very, very, very wild, but I don't know, if they ever make something like, like a high-end challenge again, like this Avatar of Zir, it doesn't have to be just like a numbers buff. If it's something like that, that'd be really cool, I think. So
yeah,
I think they have some base of this in the game, right? Doesn't it say like when you change the world tiers that the monsters like quote unquote get smarter? I mean, to a very small degree, but
they get more aggressive for sure.
Yeah, more aggressive.
Yeah, I think
this
is like only scripted though, right? It's like all scripted. I think like they're gonna be a bit faster. They're gonna aim a bit better. They have probably like some kind of like missed chance that is getting lower or something like that, right? Or like some spread in like, for example, the projectile trajectory, and that's just like gonna get smaller or something. I don't think it's like any kind of like AI smartness that's involved there.
Yeah, can get it next level. I think the player base, the community is ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, if the AI could get questionably good, and have a reaction time faster than any human, so that would actually have to nerf the AI. To be frank, that the only games where AI cannot beat humans are extremely high degree of freedom games, or where AI cannot beat humans yet, I should say. You have to have very high degree, like reality is the highest degree of freedom situation. Then people sometimes think of chess as being complex, but chess is, in my opinion, not very complex because it's only 64 squares, set piece battle, no terrain differences, no fog of war, no tech tree. So, in my opinion, chess is a simple game, because it's missing all of those elements. Right now the computer is so good that your phone can literally beat Magnus Carlsen. So, But if you make it, as you increase the degrees of freedom, it becomes harder to make the AI win. I'm dealing with reality, which is the highest degree of freedom situation. So you could apply a little bit of AI just to make it interesting in the combat mechanics, but if you apply too much, you'll just get your ass handed to you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to overdo it, I guess, but you know, if it's like if it's like slightly better at everything and like actually like more reactive, I guess that's mostly what I'm looking for, right? Like okay, like the AI, you know, can like maybe target a bit better, like it does right now in Diablo 4 and like the higher world tiers. You know, they become a bit better at like, you know, working together and like hitting you from a distance or something. But if they actually like, you know, you imagine they get like an evade ability like the players, right? And they actually evade out of your attack or something, like stuff like that. A bit more like PvP, I guess, right? It should be a bit more like how actually PvP feels, because you have real players that do these things in like a PvP zone. So I'm not sure if you guys have any experience of that, but you know, this is a very dynamic fight and it can be really fun, I think.
I was going to say to add AI controlled bots to PvP.
Yeah, just imagine like in a pool right now in Diablo 4 when you're playing, like you have these damage resistance guys, like whenever it also in the pool, basically everything takes like 90% less damage or something, you essentially do 0 damage. So if there's some AI that makes these damage resistance dudes like run away or shield them in some capacity or something, like or get behind the door, that would be pretty crazy.
Okay, that reminds me, like, you have certainly seen that in other 12s, on the high tiers when you have these knights monster types and they shield each other and they are champions, or like the vampires with the immunity.
Yeah.
They just make the damage resistance immune and, well, you're screwed.
Like if the companions could attack the the guy that's causing the damage resistance, or the healer, that would be helpful.
Yeah, like I kind of felt like there was something involved there in Avatar Zero that, you know, really wanted to mess with me, with like those vampires in particular, man. On the high tiers, like I didn't even have enough time to destroy these immunity bubbles, and then the champions made everything else immune, so I could just not kill anything. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, and that's basically the problem. Like when you just infinitely scale the HP. So I think like making them smarter, like to some degree with AI, that would be so cool.
Yeah,
I wonder if they have such plans. I heard there was like some patent, some patent or something that Blizzard has, like they have like something patented, I think, about AI tools and stuff. But I'm not sure. I just read about this like months ago. I'm not sure Rhykker maybe might know that.
It sounds familiar. I'm quickly trying to Google what it was. It might have been about AI art.
Maybe it was art, yeah, maybe not the example, but they might be working on this kind of technology. I'm sure they're not like oblivious to the developments.
AI art is a no-brainer, I think. And then, like I said, just AI NPC dialogue, also a no-brainer and not hard to implement. A little bit of AI combat mechanics also seems pretty straightforward. At some point, the AI will be good enough to make video games from whole cloth. You'll just literally have the AI make a video game, the entire thing.
Yeah, when I was a little child, I actually like dreamed about like a program where I can just type in some prompts and it gives me a game with those prompts, you know, like I want to combine this game with that game and I have this character and those abilities and just make the game for me, you know.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming for sure.
Yeah.
I think probably, you know, as it is, the sophisticated LLMs right now can program up. If you said make me a game like Space Invaders or something like that, code it up and everything, they could do it. So just more complex games are tougher. But you know, fast forward say 2-3 years from now, I'd say within 3 years there's a AI is doing video games from whole cloth.
That's very soon actually. So holy.
Yeah.
It's advancing so fast, the tech.
Yep.
It is, yeah. I've been like, you know, also seeing news about, for example, Optimus. Like there have been some posts I've seen here on X as well, and it looks pretty wild. Like the progress in, like, for example, the last 2 years on that end, for example. And yeah, if it's just software, it's probably like even easier, right? If you don't actually have like a physical robot, right? If you're just like talking about AI, actually like programming. So yeah, I can imagine the market would be like to actually explode here. video gaming in general is becoming like a lot more popular like over the last years. I'm not sure exactly about the graphs right now or so, but especially I think since COVID started, right, there was like a huge rise, and it's kind of like staying there. So it's pretty interesting to see, and with like more and more tools available to like create bigger and bigger games with AI, I think that could be a real big industry very soon.
It's also interesting to see the cultural acceptance of gaming and content creation in general. I can talk like here for like in the European Union, like there was like a lot of negative press in the past about like gaming and stuff, but it's actually like becoming an acceptable like profession for people. I mean, the US is already there, and like Asia has already been there for quite some time. It's like if you're saying like, what do you want to be when you grow up to kids nowadays? I think
I want to be a streamer.
I mean, yeah, like back in the days, I mean, often it used to be like a firefighter, or I want to become an astronaut. I mean, a lot of people still say that, but lots of kids just say I want to be a YouTuber or a content creator or like something along the lines.
Yeah, there's like the new like I want to be a rock star. Yeah.
A question for Elon. I mean, you have your hand in multiple different sectors. Were you ever interested in like entering the video game sector?
Yeah, I thought about it. I used to program video games when I was a kid, and then for one summer I was an intern at, funnily enough, a video game company called Rocket Science. It was like 30 plus years ago, and I'm actually credited on a game called Lodestar. So I did consider that because I do love video games, and I programmed for 20 years. So it's certainly something that I like a lot. But I generally try to do things where I think people are where it's not being addressed. So there are actually a lot of great video game creators. But for example, for electric cars and for rockets going to Mars, there really, when we started Tesla, there were no electric cars. Even the big companies that had the electric car programs had canceled them. So unless a startup tried to be successful with an electric car, there was nothing going to happen. And then the trajectory for space was also going nowhere. Saturn V could take people to the moon. Shuttle could only take people to low Earth orbit, and then Shuttle obviously was on track to get canceled. So unless something was done to change that trajectory, then we would be confined to Earth forever. So, I basically try to put my efforts towards where I think great things are not being done. Whereas I think there are a lot of great video games being made.
Makes a lot of sense.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right.
What I like to think about a lot is like the educational part that gaming can play as well. Like we see it here, like we're basically like giving our opinions on our channels, like educating people like how to build a guide or how to do this. And yeah, this can potentially revolutionize the like educational system as well. Like if you can sort of like gamify in a way like the education also of children to some degree, I think there's also like super cool things coming there.
Yeah, exactly. Games are really compelling to movies, and games are compelling to watch and play. But most educational things are done in a way that make it a chore. Whereas I think you can actually construct educational stuff to be a fun game, where you learn along the way without really knowing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to add a leaderboard, and then
yeah,
let the kids
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that can definitely help. I mean there are these things being done, right? But I think overall, I'm not sure how it is these days, and there might be like some very like modern like schooling techniques being used like that. But I guess for the most part, it's still like relatively simple. Like okay, you have to study this, and there's like no gamification. And gamification can really help, I guess, especially in the younger folks.
Yeah.
To make things easier.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a friend of mine's kid who the reason he wanted to learn to read was because he saw his dad playing League of Legends, and he wanted to know what the letters were at the bottom when things were happening. So he was like, I want to learn to read so I can see what's going on. in League.
This is similar to what happened to I think many of us here in gaming as well, where we just learned English like so much better because English is the language of the internet, and I would have like never really like learned English as well as I can speak it now if it wasn't for video games and for the internet and interacting with people here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like when I was like very young, I started gaming, I don't know, ever since I can remember, basically. And most games weren't even available in my mother tongue, or like you couldn't get your hands on them at least, or something. It was very difficult back in in the late 90s or something. I felt as like a little child, and yeah, like many of these games I played were just in English, and I had no clue what anything said. And over time, you actually learned it. And these days, you have many people like that, I guess, that just like play games and interact with people online and have friends that are from all over the world. And they're just gonna learn English that way. So that alone is already like a huge mechanism, I think, for people's success as well.
What are some of the first games that got you guys interested in gaming?
For me, one of the first, I guess it was like some Super Mario game, and then I don't know. I mean, I played a lot of different games back then. There was like Need for Speed, like Need for Speed 2, Need for Speed 3, and this kind of stuff, and Sims and SimCity, like the really old school, like 2D SimCity.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Some really old Counter-Strike games were also like some of the early ones, Half-Life. Yeah, so this kind of stuff, I guess. Warcraft.
Cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah,
Warcraft. Like for me, it was the OG, like best-selling Blizzard games back in the day. And it was Diablo, the Diablo franchise. I started with Diablo 2. That game was just so far ahead of its time, I feel. And then Warcraft 3 got me pretty hooked as well.
Yeah, Warcraft 3 was definitely one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, great game.
And I mean, out of that, like the entire genre of Dota, League of Legends, and all this kind of stuff, like basically comes from this like infinite possibility custom maps that we had in the editor in Warcraft 3. Super cool.
Yeah, imagine when they bring out Warcraft 4 with a world editor with AI. Oh man.
Oh yeah, the possibilities and like new game genres probably like sparking out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Warcraft 4 when does that?
Exactly.
We've been waiting for 2 decades.
Well, now that Microsoft owns them,
Reforged, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Microsoft cares about the RTS.
Half-Life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Half-Life 3 AI.
Oh.
I mean, maybe they've been waiting for that, maybe for some big revolution, and Half-Life 3 is coming, who knows? And they could do crazy things.
Yeah.
What about you, Rhykker, by the way? That's like Elon's question.
Yeah, I mean, I got into gaming like just from watching my dad play video games on the computer. I was just fascinated by the computer and video games. But the first games I played were like Mortal Kombat on Super Nintendo, and then Duke Nukem 3D as an 8-year-old on PC.
I know that one.
Cool.
Okay, cool stuff.
All right. Well, I got to sign off now. It's a great discussion. So I have to look forward to another one in the future once season 3 comes out.
Okay, yeah, maybe we're gonna have something again. I'm always up for it, so we can definitely figure something out. Thank you very much for joining us, Elon, and also Rob and Rhykker. So it was a pleasure talking to you guys. I guess we're gonna just like wrap it up then. So for everyone who was joining in to listen, hope you enjoyed it. I've been reading through some of the comments, but it was kind of difficult to like keep up there and like maybe implement some topics. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed it, guys. And yeah, maybe we're gonna have more of this in the future. Do you have any like closing thoughts, Rob and Rhykker?
Thanks everybody, man. Good luck in the upcoming season, and I will see you there. GG.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Have a great one, and yeah, GLHF.
All right, and I'm gonna close it here. So my first X Spaces. Yeah, good luck, have fun, everyone, in season 3, and stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.